everyone, and welcome back to the session. So just a quick reminder again that we'll only be taking one question per presentation. So now we have with us Mr. Nikhil Chandran. He's the CEO of Tilt Labs, and we'll talk about industrial transformation using AR/VR, the next generation UI/UX.
Myself, Nikhil. I'm founder and CEO of Tilt Labs. I'm coming from an IoT and big data background. I'm using Unity for creating AR, VR, MR-based application, and we call it as next generation UI/UX for Industrial 4.0. So the topic is about industrial transformation using AR, VR, the next generation UI/UX. Before going forward, I would like to set the stage by the agenda. So initially, I'm going to talk about a little bit about Industrial 4.0, the basic concepts and components. Then the communication layer, how we exchange information, how they exchange information between the man and machine. Then the case studies which we developed in Tilt Labs. We are going to present 4 case studies. First one is how we can bring industrial data to Unity client. Like industry have a lot of standards, so protocols to exchange information between the machines. So how we can bring that data to Unity. Second one is how we can harvest the possibility of Industrial 4.0 in the enterprise in implementation. And third, harvest the possibility of consumer implementation, and how we say that the sound and visual is going to be the next generation UI/UX and or human-machine interface to interact with machines. So what is Industrial 4.0? It's the 4th generation industrial revolution, which helped the industry to better automation solution, decision making, data aggregation, and data analytics, and data visualization. There are 4 major components when we talk about Industrial 4.0. That is interoperability, information transparency, technical assistant, and decentralized decision making. How we can do in the Industrial 4.0. So let's talk about a little bit about interoperability. Interoperability means it's all about IoT and IOP. IoT means Internet of Things. IOP means Internet of People. How we can exchange this information between the IoT sensors and also get the data from the people to the industry. This will help the industry to create standard protocols or communication system to exchange information between the machines and man, and also communicating with the machine to machine. The second thing is, this will enable the industry to get feedback from the customers or stakeholders directly, which help them to iterate and make their products or process better always. So it have different components. So you can see the graph, the diagrams. The second thing is the information transparency. It will have main 3 components like connection, digitalization, and intelligence. So connection means how the machines can interact, connectivity, how the data is aggregated and stored. And digitalization means how the information is to improve the decision-making process. And intelligence means data management and conversion into valuable information from the business process. So like how we can use this technology to present better data to the end users. Another thing is technical assistant. How the consumer itself can solve the problem without calling to a customer center. Like support human to solve problem and assist the user to perform a task which is complex and unsafe for them. The 4th and last component, decentralized decision making. That means it's all the idea about making the factory automated on a certain degree and help the physical system to take their own decisions and create an autonomous system to behave in the factory without any human interventions. So these are the main components of Industrial 4.0. Then we will go to the case studies which Tilt Labs have developed internally and for the customers and also for the end users. So first one, the major problem which faced is like how we have to bring these kind of protocols. So industry have their own standards like OPC, Open Platform Communication, and Modbus, MQTT. So these are the protocols, but Unity is meant from a game and they are not meant for developing these kind of protocols. But Unity have all kind of APIs to develop these kind of protocols internally and to exchange information with the machine. So first thing is we have to find out what is standard protocol mostly used in industry. So we figure out like OPC, Open Platform Communication is the standard protocol which used in the industry. But Unity don't have that kind of plugin, but they have a bigger support and APIs in that. So we developed that plugin internally in Unity, and which helped them to connect with the next generation HMI devices like AR, VR, and MR. And this protocol, this asset, going to be published in Asset Store very soon, so you can also get leverage out of that. So this is the first case study which we did. So based on this case study, we developed an application called a virtual reality simulator, which used in oil and gas industry, and it's a portion of that particular project. And it has also integrated with LMS system. So, and use virtual reality to get the trainee trained, and also we collect the information from this trainee and create data analytics on top of that and give to the industry so that they can decide whether this candidate is qualified to deploy in the production unit. So let's see the video of OPC server connection along with the Unity VR client and exchange information and plotting the information. So the OPC server is installed in some servers in the same LAN network. So we need an IP address to connect. So we connect, once we connected, and we will get data from the server where all the other machines also get updating. So here is a pump, and it's only a small portion because we can't show entire project to you. There is some NDA. So this is a small portion of that particular project where this motor will communicate with the OPC server and exchange information so that other motors and pumps and valves can use the same information to apply on top of that. It's two-way communication. The client can update the data to the server and server can update it to the client. So the trainee will adjust the valve, the red valve you can see, and that valve will help them to adjust the pressure gauge. The pressure gauge will have to in such a way that it should match the production environment at that current stage. So adjusting the valve and find out the right pressure to make the pump work smoothly in the production environment. So we connected this data along with the LMS system to capture all the behavior of these trainee and pass to the trainer and the management to decide whether he is qualified to deploy or not. So the same OPC server exchange information and also used to recruit better employees. So next thing is, that was on enterprise segment. Now we just figure out how we can use this virtual reality in the industry, connected with Industrial 4.0, and create a consumer-based application. So hope you know that your car, new generation car, have an ECU, engine control unit, which is a computer, which have a lot of information about your car. We can harness that information through a device called OBD, on-board diagnosis. So we collected that information, sent to the cloud, we applied a predictive analysis on top of that, and we use AR for visualizing the data. Instead of checking a mobile app, we just point the camera towards your car, the information pop up on top of your car, whether your car is good to go or bad to go. I'm going to show you 3 scenarios, which is very simple scenarios, which you can understand very quickly, about how we did the OBD data from your car to the cloud to an AR application, Unity and supported AR application. Now please play the video. So this is a sensor which connects to your car OBD adapter. It will be always some near to the brake system. So scenario 1, we will collect the information and we will use now we are using a digital twin, and we can point your camera towards that digital twin. It will show you whether it's good to go or bad to go. Early morning, when you start your car, sometimes it may not work because of the problem which you don't know. And your dashboard will pop up with a lot of signs, which is very odd, because we don't know what it exactly. So here, it will give you more information about a car. See, it's a second scenario where your car have a low fuel system. It's applying a predictive analysis, what to do next, where to go next. So it says there is a gas station nearby, 6.2 kilometers away, and you can refill it. So it's giving you support real time with help of the data and the power of AR to visualize it in better way. This is the third scenario. Not only the gas, you can have an engine kind of problems. Like here, the system detect that you have a coolant problem. You have to replace your tank, and you can find a nearby service stations around 12.4 kilometers, or you can call the assistant. So these kind of combination of technology, AR and VR plus Industrial 4.0 components will help to deliver better solution to the end customers and seamlessly use with the predictive analysis and decision-making technologies. So another thing, so that is all about enterprise and a consumer application. Let's take into another division, like, have you heard about control centers? So how a control center look like? It will have a lot of monitors along with a lot of gadgets with a lot of HMI devices. We have to interact with each HMI devices to get updated. The person will sit there and see all the information, right? So virtual reality control centers, that is the next generation control centers, which help you to give 6th generation of freedom, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on top of creating a lot of assets like communication layers, monitors, etc. So the next generation control centers will help you to give a 6th degree of freedom to plot all your data, connect to the machines. Let's say now I'm going to show you a virtual reality control center connected to a SCADA system, which exchange the information, show real-time data, and a graph, which help the monitoring guy to understand the data better and interact with the data through his motion controller. So I am going to play the video. See, the guy is having an HTC Vive, and Unity client is connected to a SCADA system, pulling data out of that, act as an HMI device, which have a world map on top of him, and he can see the real-time data and graph, and on specific areas, a region of that factory works. So he can have a side-by-side comparison, and also he can pull out more data, similar what he doing in the HMI devices in the actual factories. There is no hardware thing, everything is converted to a software, and the software components are interacted with through virtual reality controllers. So if you want to create one more control centers, or you can operate the control center from the home through these kind of equipments. And you can have n number of control centers if you require, if your system support. So that is about a control center and how we did in virtual reality and connect with SCADA system. The next thing is how we used EMMA, the HoloLens, to connect to an actual data and simulate the similar motor functionality like a digital twin. So take the motor operation in an actual production unit, there will be a lot of data is collected, how the engineers or technician can interact with that motor when it's running through an actual data. So let's see the demo and see how we done that. So here we use sound and visuals. Like the technician interact with this motor, digital twin, using their voice, gesture, and visual components, rather than doing any hardware stuff. So that's going to be a next generation UI UX, how we interact with machines. So man-to-machine communication going to be happen through voice and visuals. And the machine going to talk to us back through virtual communication assistance. So go start voice. Can you switch the voice to the, please? Voice, please. So you can see the Rafi is interacting with this motor and use Cortana to exchange his ideas and what the motor have to do, the placing, and also plotting direct informations like how to put the data directly into that motor, and it replicates as a digital twin.
To position motor on the ground.
1 minute.
Like
Use air tap gesture or speak out. Place motor. To position motor on the ground.
Place motor.
Either use air tap on the icons or read out the icons for the corresponding actions.
Wireframe.
Wireframe texture applied.
Stop.
Turning on the motor now.
Explode.
The motor is being separated.
Info.
Info display.
These infos are populated through the values from the actual production unit, and it's a digital twin. The technician can interact with digital twin with the actual data and how the motors are performing in the actual environment. So these are the concepts which we developed, and
Wireframe.
Wireframe texture applied.
so that's we create, how we can use sound and visuals to exchange data between machines and create digital twin. So digital twin will interact with us and plot the data based on our requirement. So that's how we call it these kind of technologies next generation UI UX, and we enable this next generation UI UX through our own protocol development expertise, and that's how we bridge the gap between physical and digital world. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Within the Unity, you have created the plugin to extract the data, right? So
Extract the data in the sense.
yeah. So each machine, for example,
I will tell
all
you.
the OPC
I will tell
data
you.
from the gas turbines or the machines
Exactly.
or the motors,
There is
right?
an OPC server, right?
Right.
And Unity acts as a client, and there is an OPC server. The Unity client have to exchange the information with the client and server. Unity have all the TCP layers and everything in place. So we have to write the protocol header stack in such a way that it's matched with the OPC standards. Okay. So what we did is, the Unity side, we write using the Unity APIs, which match the header standard, and there will be some APIs, the handshaking principles. You can go to the wiki and you can see all the OPC. OPC is an open standard. So you don't need to worry about proprietary concepts. So it's a open standard. What we did is, we read the standard, because I'm coming from a protocol background and I have expertise in writing protocols for cloud services, etc. So what I did is, I read about all the protocol standards, documentation, and created something in Unity, so that we don't have to depend upon any third party. Otherwise you have to write some Python program in the machine, Windows machine, and to exchange data between the Python and Unity, and the Python will exchange OPC. So instead of creating a lot of trouble, we directly wrote in the Unity, and we help them to connect to the OPC server, so they can exchange information seamlessly. That's what we did.
Yeah, and also, like, most of the turbines and the machine, they generate humongous data, right?
Exactly.
So how, could you little elaborate? The reason is that you bring it to the server, and then
when you operate, it will generate lot of data, right? So we don't. It's while operating, there is a standard value, like what is the current state, and the current state value will be reflected in the server. This value is recorded for this particular motor to do the scenarios. And based on this value, some other system has to perform. When the pressure gauge is changed here, and other system has to adjust something there. So they will get this current state of this machine through this OPC server. You got it? It's simply how data is exchanged between multiple components or multiple machine and systems. Is that answer your question?
That answers the question. And
Good.
the following thing is actually, see the.
Can you use your mic?
Sure. So the question is more like, suppose if there is you guys did a like case study and the repair, if there is an issue with the physical twin, is the digital twin will be updated in real time?
Yes, digital twin will be updated in. That's why it's called digital twin. Whatever happened in the physical twin, And we have a communication layer, right? I told you the protocols and exchanging telecommunication methods. These, whatever happened in the physical, that will be alert this digital twin that this a problem is happened there. This can be the possible, solutions that you can apply, and this is the next step you have to do. So that is the third component, technical assistance. System will understand this scenario, and they will help the technician who wear this glass or AR or VR and give support to fix it. Normally, what they will go through a lot of manuals, etc., and which it is not going to happen very quickly. But this kind of technology will enable them to fix the problem very soon than going through a lot of manual procedures.
And also that automobile OBD sensor that you created,
exactly.
I think I'm hoping
not,
that you might have created similar IoT sensors to the machines as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So you had some little bit hardware and embedded software as well.
OBD, we didn't create the OBD because OBD is a standard protocol. You can buy OBD from Amazon or anywhere with 600 rupees or something. Okay. So OBD is a standard across the automotive industry to get the data from an ECU. Engine control unit. So we just leverage that technology, technology, and we only took the data from the engine. And we have our own cloud solutions which connect with this OBD and apply some predictive analysis on top of that and use AR to present before the customer. So rather than using a mobile app, scrolling up, clicking the each and every section, simply he say that this is a problem, this is have to do, this is the next step, go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Hi. This is really interesting use cases that you have shown today.
Thank you.
So first of all, my question is on predictive maintenance of the cars that you have showed the AR, mobile-based AR application, and you're using some sensors.
We are using some sensors. The sensor is called OBD, on-board diagnosis.
Okay.
It's a sensor which you can use. See, Rafi, can you play the video? We have 2 minutes. Yeah, Rafi, can you play the video? So there is a sensor I show you, the blue one.
Okay.
That is open source. Anybody can buy from Amazon, connect to their car, and that information can be brought to the cloud. We have our own solution for that.
Right.
Okay. So we are just using this as a medium to get the data from ECU. That's it. We are not developing the sensors, but we are applying our own intelligence systems. Like we have our own ML and AI team apply our own logics on top of this to get the predictive analysis, like the information out of this to help the users what to do, what is the problem, what to do, and what's the next.
Okay. And apart from using these sensors, because this is only for automobile industry that.
This is only for automobile. So that's why I told you 2 segments. First one I show you the enterprise segment, how the enterprise use. Second one is consumer segment. This application is more applicable to the consumers like us.
Okay.
Normally everybody own a car, and we will pop up some errors in my car. We got shocked. Last day my ABS got problem and my car got breakdown. Yeah. So I don't know what to do next.
Right.
If we call the support center also, they will come in half an hour. But I can do something immediately by help of some kind of intelligent platform. That's a value-added service to us, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. I don't know whether we have time for the question. Time. Good.
Okay. So this question is also again on the OBD2 scanner part.
Speak up, please.
This question is also about the onboard diagnostic scanner.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you get the data from the OBD2 and push it to the cloud.
Yeah.
And then you analyze and then get it down.
Yes.
So did you try to connect your application directly to the scanner itself to project out some data?
So we can do that. We did that. But the see how we do decisions and analysis based on the historical data as well, right? So historical data, can our mobile process that much of amount of data? No, we need some, we have to offload to something else. So that's how the cloud comes into place. We can connect to directly, we can get this current status, but we need a historical data to say that this is the problem. Without the historical data, we can't say that this may be the problem. That will not help the end user. So both is possible, but we need historical data to predict it accurately, and that's why we move to the cloud. That it won't take much time because we have good connectivity nowadays, thanks to bigger companies, and that's why we use a cloud as a storage systems to give more information to the end users, because we don't need to overheat their mobiles. Last day, they will kill us, like battery consumption. There are a lot of things to take care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation, sir.